Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about creativity and your sensuality, your sexuality, being connected to your body. I'm really excited to be talking about this because this is something I talk about on my platform a lot. It's interesting that I'm a business coach and yet I connected to so many different areas of our lives because I believe that how you do one thing is how you do everything most of the time, and everything's interconnected, right? Just because this is the way that you show up in your business and your relationships, it doesn't mean that it's just compartmentalized there, right? The things that come up in our relationships, in our friendships, and even our relationships with our parents or relationships with our children. These are things that impact our business, the way that we make money, the way that we receive, the way that we open up, right? It's all a big spider web, and it's all connected in a really big way. And one of those ways is your sexuality, your sensuality. And I'll talk about the difference between those two. But I really want us to think about how connected are we to our sensuality? How connected are we to allowing ourselves to be sensual, to be sexual, to express our sexual nature? And even hearing those things, even seeing this title, does that invoke something in you? Does that trigger you? Does it make you excited? Did it make you want to click this episode right away? Or did it make you, maybe you didn't listen to this episode when it first came out. Maybe you're listening to it a little bit later because you're like, you know what? I don't know if I want to open that can of worms. I don't know if I want to think about my sexuality, right? For so many of us, and I want you to know that that's normal. I mean, I don't like the word normal because, what's normal? But I want you to know it's common. As women, we are not taught to be connected to our sensuality. We're taught that that is wrong. Even more so if you grew up in a family of color, immigrant family, if you're first gen, even more so if you have religious trauma, or you grew up in you still might be religious and still have religious trauma, right? Or maybe you stepped away from religion like I did. But that's still those messages of purity and being chaste and being a good girl are still there. And I think that sometimes can hold us back from being connected to our sensuality and our creativity and our ability to birth something beautiful into the world. As women, we are creators. We are creatrixes. We are meant to create, right? Not just life, because not everyone with a uterus wants to have a baby, but we are designed to create things. We are naturally good at creating, at birthing, at bringing something into fruition. And that is how a lot of us connect to our power and our feminine essence, is through creation and creating something that hasn't been seen before, or doing something in a way that maybe has been dominantly ruled by men in the past, but we get to explore as women in our own way today, right? Like look at business. Business has been something that has been dominantly ruled by men. Rules have been created by men. Processes have been created by men. Systems have been created by men. And as women, we today are shifting the paradigm and saying it no longer has to be done this way. No longer has to be a very wounded masculine way of selling and marketing and showing up in our businesses, but we can lead with spirit. We can be flow centered. We can be heart centered. We can create these businesses that feel really, really good to us and be able to do so in a way that is led by a more feminine approach, maybe one that is a little bit more connected rather than forced. Right. So that's something that I feel we do as women really, really well, because we have a different conditioning. There's a different way that we are showing up in our lives and our businesses because of what is expected of us and how we were taught. Right. And because of that, there are so many disadvantages because, again, women have been so oppressed and so their sexuality has been suppressed in so many ways. And because of that, we are not always so quick to share and express our sexuality, right? It's something that feels kind of foreign to us sometimes. And when we hear things like, oh, well, it's connected to our creativity, it's connected to the way that we make money, like, how so? And I don't know if that's something that I can access, right? Or maybe it's something that you access, but you only access it in certain ways with a partner in the bedroom, and you kind of keep it there, right? Like that is the only way that you express your sexual nature is with your partner, maybe where it feels safe, right? And that's great, but there are also other ways of connecting with your body. And I think for so long, it was this narrative of like, oh, well, we can only share, like, we can be sexual, but we can only be sexual if we're married, right? Or we can only be sexual in like these specific spaces where sexuality is like, you know, hidden towards like the bedroom corners, right? Like the corners of bedroom, and that's it. And outside of that, allowing ourselves to show skin, allowing ourselves to talk about sex has not been widely understood or accepted. And it's not something that a lot of women will choose to do. And I think it's really important to identify this because I think once we talk about sexuality, right, there are a lot of people who will recoil. And I think it's important to address that that is a really common part of it. Once you get past that part and really ask yourself, like, why do I react this way? Like, someone is just out there talking about sex and sexuality. Why do I get so bothered by that? Right? There are people I wish would sit and think about this. My mom probably being one of them, but my mom and I have had quite a few conversations where she works in my business, right? She's my CFO. I retired her, and so, we'll have a lot of conversations about the way that I do show up in my business, and she doesn't spend a lot of time on social media, but she really does. Sometimes she just like I know she doesn't come across in this like you have to do it this way. I mean, well, sometimes, but a lot of the time she's like, don't you feel like people are going to be turned off? Aren't you worried about people not hiring you? Aren't you she always comes from this, like, obviously she comes to me with love, but it comes off in a very scarcity filled way, right? Like, aren't you afraid you're going to blank? And I always tell her, like, I am not afraid of repelling people. I am not afraid of letting some people in my audience that are not connected and aligned and congruent with me go. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm not afraid of people deciding that they don't like me, or I'm not for them, because it's so important for me to share my truth and to speak my truth and to be honest about who I am, all of who I am, because I know that there are people out there who are going to look at that and be like, wow, this is a breath of fresh air. And this is exactly what I've been looking for. And this is exactly what I've been looking for in a business coach. right? Like that gives me an edge. Not that that's the reason why I talk about it, but it gives me an edge that closes a gap in an industry where it's very predominantly white and it's very predominantly, women that are repressed in that way, where we think we can only be one way. We have to be one dimensional. Right. And again, that's just conditioning from society. And so when I show up as a single mom and I'm Asian American and I'm curvy, right, and I'm queer and all of these things that are very different than the typical white girl that shows up in this very white coaching space, people are automatically like, who is that? Right. And it might automatically make people go, no, that is not for me. I am checked out. Right. But it also makes a really good group of people go, wow, that's my coach. That is the person I'm working with next. Right. And I know that because people have told me this time and time and time and time again since I've started my business. Right. It's the reason why people hire me and they tell that to me. Right. I don't even necessarily ask that anymore. I used to ask that a lot. Like, where did you find me? Why did you hire me? Blah, blah, blah. Right. But people will just tell me now, like, this is why I decided to work with you. This is how I knew that you were the coach for me, is because of how you show up and you dance and you talk about sexuality and you show up very unapologetically. And I don't know how to do any of those things. And I want to learn that from you. Right. And I think that that's a really valuable aspect of my coaching and my business and also my personal brand, but not just my personal brand. This is who I am as a human being. Right. This is not just a facade that I take off after a certain amount of time. This is a person that I am in my daily life. Like if you hang out with me on a daily basis, I talk about sex and I make jokes about sex and I dress a certain way, right? And all of these things that are very not expected as a single mom, as a mom, right? In general, to be wearing and to be saying and to be talking about and to be showing up in, right? Like these are ways in which I have allowed myself to be who I am. And so I want to share that your sexuality, like this is a part of who you are. This is a part of who you are as a human being. And that might show up differently from person to person, right? Not everyone needs to be extremely overly sexual and talk about that in that way like I do. I'm not saying that everyone needs to be doing that unless that's what you truly desire, but I mean that there is a certain part of you and your sexuality that feels that's going to feel good to you. That's going to feel comfortable to you. That is going to feel that wants to be explored, right? And maybe if that's just something that you do on your own and it's part of your practice, your pleasure practice, or your way of creating pleasure in your day and talking about it and being connected to your work through it, right? Then that's something that you get to do. Maybe it's a way of connecting sensuality and allowing yourself to feel turned on and to be in touch with your body and your body's needs in order to express yourself, right? Sensuality is the enjoyment, the expression or pursuit of physical, especially sexual pleasure. So allowing yourself to embrace your sensuality. Sensuality is very like, it is, it can sometimes be slow. Sometimes it's faster, right? Sometimes it's soft. It's touching your body. It's taking note of every single movement and somatics, right? Breathing. It's allowing your body to move how it wants to move. It's allowing yourself to feel what you want to feel, allowing yourself to be who you want to be. It's allowing. It is just allowing, period. It is surrendering and it is receiving, right? It's allowing yourself to open to receive, literally an actual sensual practice. Like that is the art of sex, allowing yourself to feel these physical emotions, these erotic sensations, right? These pleasurable feelings within your body, knowing that they always come from within you. Even if you are with a partner, these are still things that are coming from you and you being connected to your own body, your own orgasm, your own pleasure, right? These are all things that are connected to you, yourself. And it's so powerful when you allow yourself to feel into that and to surrender to that. Because when you surrender to that in the bedroom on your own, through your own practice, you also allow yourself to surrender and receive in your business as well. When you allow yourself to surrender in the sensuality, into this feeling, it also allows you to receive more. It allows you to allow more. It allows you to process more. It allows you to be more in touch with your body and your intuitive senses and nudges. So that way, when there's a pull towards something, when there's something that you want to feel, there's something that you want to, get a hit for, you want to receive a download, a message, a confirmation for something, a sign, you're wide open because you are allowing yourself to feel into that. You're allowing yourself to receive, and that gets to feel so good. It allows yourself to feel and be connected in your body in a way that you wouldn't if you didn't explore this, right? And of course, this might be something that you take baby steps towards, a little more each time, a little more each time. But when you create an intentional practice that is just focused on you and your pleasure, on your own. You don't have to tell anyone about it unless you feel comfortable, right? You don't have to go further beyond what you feel is consensual within your own body, even if it is just you and yourself, right? Like you decide what that looks like for you, with the knowing and the intention that the deeper you connect with yourself and your sensuality, the deeper you understand yourself, your bodies, your desires, right? And then sexuality is the way that you describe sexual, emotional, or physical feelings or attractions you have towards another person. So typically we use the word sexuality in the terms of sexual orientation, like who are you sexually attracted to? Which genders are you sexually attracted to? So for example, I'm pansexual, which surprisingly doesn't mean that I'm attracted to pans. I'm attracted to everybody. So I don't have a gender preference. I'm just attracted to people's souls and their energy and their aura. If that ends up being a man, great. If that ends up being a woman, great. If that ends up being someone who's non-binary or trans, great. Right? Like it's just who I am. Like that's just part of my nature. I think it's also because I've had so many past lives as men, and I've had a lot of past lives as like creatures, like non-binary, like not necessarily having a gender. I've been a lot of different creatures, that yeah, just like creatures or animals and things like that, right? Even though, like animals can have gender as well. But a lot of like creatures like fairies and, different mermaids types of things. And so when I came into this life, I just never really associated with like, oh, okay, like I only have attraction towards women, or I only have attraction towards men. That just never really made sense for me, even from a really young age. And so I've always known that I was pansexual. I didn't know the term for it. I honestly thought that there was something wrong with me pretty much my entire life, until I really started to learn more about myself and again, connect with my sexuality, connect with my sensuality. So I'll also use the word sexuality in terms of just expressing yourself sexually. So not necessarily just your sexual orientation, but just expressing yourself in a sexual manner, right? So like online, like you'll see on my page, like I share a lot of sensual videos of myself dancing and twerking and touching my body. So much so that I've gotten myself demonetized from Instagram. So I can't make money off of Reels for a while because I have crossed so many community guidelines, which like really have not, but Instagram is such a censored place. So anyway, that's something that I do. And I want to be able to showcase that because I don't think that we show or talk about that enough. Not saying that we all have to do that, especially if that makes you feel uncomfortable. That's not something you need to do, right? But it's just something that you can allow yourself to do. And even ask yourself, like, why do I not touch myself? Why do I not, um, why do I not allow myself to go there? Like maybe there's something that you've been wanting to explore sexually just on your own, right? And why has that been something that I hold myself back from? Or like going to a sex store, right? And buying like a sex toy, for example. Like why is that something that scares me, or why is that something that creates so much resistance in me? Like what is it about that that really freaks me out about my sexuality or being in touch with my sensual nature? Where does this come from? Where is this messaging coming from specifically for me? So I know for me, it was a lot of my family, it was a lot from society, it was a lot from the religion that I grew up in, right? And I had to unlearn, and this is still ongoing work. I'm probably going to continue unlearning this till the day I die because it was so rooted in my entire life from 0 to like 25 years old. I at one point thought I was going to be a pastor. I was leading small groups. I was on the worship team. I was going to church 3 times a week, right? It was literally like culty. And there was so many, I even joined like a single moms, kind of like small group fellowship thing where we were told like, you can't have sex. You can't act this way. You can't, like, this is not for single moms. And it was just crazy. All right. And anyway, I was really deep in it, and I really didn't know that there was any other way because that was what I was exposed to. That's what I had known my entire life until I started breaking away and questioning, why do I think this way? Why do I show up this way? Why do I behave in this way? Why do I feel like this is the only way to behave? Why do I feel like this is all these things, right? I just started breaking it down. And for some people, they might really enjoy what they want to believe and they just continue believing that, right? And if you feel really strongly about what you believe, then that's on you, right? Like you make your own decisions for your life based on your beliefs, based on your thoughts. But I would be remiss if I didn't tell everybody to question what you believe. Question where this comes from, question who taught it to you, question who benefits from it if you believe and act a certain way. How are they gaining power, and how are they gaining power through control or maybe through manipulation, right? So it's just something to really, 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 really consider and deeply sit and think about, especially as women, because we have been oppressed and repressed for so, so long. So that's all I want to share with you today. I really just want to open up this conversation on my podcast. Specifically, I talk a lot about this on my Instagram, specifically on my Instagram stories. So if you're not following me on Instagram at tiffanychung.co, you're missing out. I have a ton on the stories. I have a ton of juicy stories on my podcast or on my stories. And I have a lot of fun things that I share on there. So definitely check out my stories because it's a fun time. But yeah, I want to know if this episode impacted you, if this really allowed you to open up in a specific way, or maybe you sit and think and journal on this and you have some type of breakthrough or something that you're allowing and questioning that maybe you haven't before. I'd love to hear about that. I'd love to know about that. I'd love to empower you and send you support and love and encouraging words. So feel free to always DM me. My DMs are open at tiffanychung.co. That's TIFFANYCHEUNG.co. And I will catch you on the next episode. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.